If your headstand is looking a little bit like this at the moment, and you're wanting it to look a little bit more like this, then this is the tutorial for you. In this headstand tutorial, I'll be showing you how to get into your headstand quickly but safely. A lot of people tend to try and kick up too quickly, and this is a bad habit to get into as it puts too much pressure onto your neck and it doesn't allow your weight to transfer safely from your feet to on top of your shoulders. Therefore, I will be taking you through different stages. We'll start with stage 1, which is setting up our foundations. Stage 2, which is getting familiar with your hips stacked over your shoulders. Stage 3 is transferring the weight between one leg to the other. And stage 4 is getting into that tuck before we proceed on to stage 5, which is extending our legs into our full headstand. Now, the most important thing is that you warm up before attempting this class. I do have an arm toning tutorial which you can check out in the link above, which is great to do for this class. You need to be able to build the stamina and the strength in your shoulders and in your forearms. So go ahead and click on that link and do that video and then come back to this tutorial. If you have already warmed up, then let's go straight into how we do our headstand. So, as I said, stage 1 is learning the foundations. If you don't have the foundations correctly, then you're going to really struggle in order to get up into the proper physique to allow you to balance and to stabilize in your headstand. So, to start with the foundations, you're going to bring the elbows down onto your mat and you want them to be shoulder width apart. So you can check that by wrapping your arms around your elbows, just like so. Then you bring the hands together and you interlace the fingers. And this is what I like to call the cat's cradle. It kind of reminds me of that. There are a couple of options here. Some people find that it's easier to interlace all of their fingers and tuck the pinkies in. However, I have had a few students, and also me included, that it's easier to bring the pinkies out just to add a bit more support for when you come up onto your headstand. So it's completely up to you. You can either have your pinkies in or you can stick them out. The next phase, or the next bit of our foundation, is to bring the wrists out ever so slightly and make a semicircle with the hands, which is where the back of your skull is going to fit into. And that's going to offer a bit of support for you in order to stabilize and to balance. So you want to aim to get the crown of your head onto the mat, and then you rest the back of your skull into that semicircle that you've created, just like so. Now, unfortunately, as the headstand suggests, lots of people get confused with putting all of their weight onto their head, whereas in fact, most of the weight goes into the forearms and the elbows, and that's where you really need to have strong shoulders, which is why it's really important to warm up and strengthen those muscles before attempting this inversion. So when you come into your foundation, interlacing the fingers into your cat's cradles, bring the wrists out. Once you bring the crown of your head onto the mat, see how it feels by activating those shoulders, almost as if you can pick your head off of the mat. So you see here, nice and activated. We won't actually be picking up our head in our headstand tutorial, but you want to feel as if you could literally just lift it slightly off the mat. Now, if I don't activate my shoulders, my whole stance or my whole frame completely looks different. My chin is being pushed in towards my chest, my back is curving slightly, and I'm going to feel a lot of pressure on the back of my neck here, which we want to avoid, as that can lead to serious injury. So think about having maybe about 90%, maybe even 95% of your weight onto your forearms and onto the elbows, and that's done by activating your shoulders. So let's go through the foundations again. Bring the elbows down, make sure that they're shoulder width apart. Interlace the fingers into cat's cradle. Option to have the pinkies out or tuck them in. Make that semicircle with your hands by bringing the wrists out slightly. Aim to get the crown of your head onto the mat and then rest the back of your skull into your hands. Make sure the shoulders are activated. Let's do a little kind of practice of lifting the head up and down. Beautiful. And then you can look as well towards your knees. And if you have never done a headstand before or ever attempted it, it's really good to get familiar with being upside down first. So take it as slow as you need. Make sure that when you practice this tutorial, you are mastering the first stage before progressing on to the next stage. And then when you actually come to doing your tuck or extending your legs, you're going to find it so much easier. So take it at your own space. You know, we're all on our own journey. Even if it takes you a few days, weeks, months, it doesn't matter. As long as you feel comfortable and build that confidence and strength to get up into your headstand, that is where you want to be. So, stage one again, let's go through it one more time. Wrap the shoulders around your elbows, make sure they're shoulder width apart. Bring the fingers together, interlacing them, pinkies out or pinkies in. Make that semicircle with your wrists. Aim to get the crown of the head onto the mat. Rest the back of the skull into your semicircle and activate those shoulders. So really strong here. Beautiful. And then slowly come back out. Maybe take a quick child's pose and then come on up onto your knees. So the next one is stage two. So it's going to feel a little bit alien to begin with by having your hips completely over your shoulders. You're aiming for a really straight spine, and it's just shifting that weight transfer from your legs onto your forearms. So let's take it, let's go on to stage two. So bring the hands down, shoulder width apart, interlace the fingers, pinkies out or in, semicircle with the wrists. Bring the crown of your head down, rest the back of your head into your semicircle and activate those shoulders. So really strong here. So going into stage two now, we're going to tuck the toes and then lift those hips up. You can keep your knees bent or straighten them depending on how your hamstrings feel. And then you're going to walk your feet towards your body, and you're going to feel that weight naturally shift from your feet over onto your shoulders. So I'm really pressing into the forearms here, pressing into the elbows. I don't want that weight to be on my neck or onto my head. So really strong with the upper body here. You can just stay here for a bit, maybe take a couple of breaths. Just practice getting familiar in this position. You can come up onto the tippy toes, maybe you want to just stay down onto the toes, or maybe you want to come all the way down with your feet. Whatever feels best for you at this stage. You just got to work on getting that weight of your hips over your shoulders. Very good. And then let's slowly start to walk our feet out. We're going to drop the knees down and we're going to take a child's pose. So this is our counter pose, which is really important that we take in between doing our headstands or just headstand practice, as we allow the blood to flow back to normal. And we want to avoid any dizzy spells or any head rushes. So once you feel comfortable, taking a few breaths in your child's pose, begin to walk yourself back up. Great. Might feel a little bit red in the face, and that's obviously completely normal. So that in stage two, mastering getting your hips stacked over your shoulders, is you're already halfway there really, because that is where the weight is going to be. The next part, of course, will be starting to shift your weight from your legs and then get your legs up as well. So by having that familiarity with how your muscles feel and how the weight feels on top of your shoulders, it's going to really help you progress into your headstand. So once you feel comfortable with that, we're then going to progress on to stage 3, and that is shifting the weight now from one leg to the other. So step by step, here we go. Stage 1, shoulders. So elbows are shoulder width apart. Interlace the fingers into cat's cradle. Pinkies out or pinkies in. Yogi's choice. Bring those wrists out and make your semicircle. Bring the crown of your head onto the mat. Rest the back of your head into your hands. Shoulders are activated. Do a little check here. It's almost like you can feel your head just coming off very slightly. Wonderful. Progressing on to stage 2. We're going to tuck those toes, lift the hips up, begin to walk your feet closer towards your body. Make sure you have those hips on top of your shoulders, the spine is straight, you're still pressing into the forearms, pressing into the elbows. Great. We're now going to start by shifting our weight from one foot to the other. So starting maybe with your dominant side, so the one that feels most familiar to you or comfortable for you. Mine's going to be my left. You're going to pick the toes up, tuck them in. See how I'm still balancing on my right toes here. And then slowly I'm going to drop it, take it to the other side, tucking the other foot. Almost it's like it's above your head. And then slowly bring it back down. Let's walk our feet out, lower the knees, and release into a child's pose. Take your time here. Allowing the body to rest. And just allowing that blood to flow back down. Wonderful. Slowly, when you're ready, walk yourself back up. And again, with stage 3, you might just be there for a few months, maybe a few days, however long it takes you, it doesn't matter. Most important thing is that you feel comfortable with that stage. So take your time with it, practicing, going to the left and the right, and then once you feel comfortable or feel confident enough, we're going to progress to stage 4, which is our tuck. So this is probably the most scary bit, but it shouldn't be. If you feel like you're stable and you've got the strength in your arms, you will be able to get up into that tuck. If you do have a friend or something to help you get into the tuck, to stand behind you for confidence, by all means go ahead and do that. I did that a lot when I was practicing, but by following this, you should be able to just get into that, and once you get familiar with the weight on top of your shoulders, you will be able to stay there and hold it yourself. So let's take it again from the top. Come down. Stage 1 is our foundation. Elbows are shoulder width apart. Bring the hands together, interlace the fingers, pinkies out or pinkies in. Bring the wrists out, making that semicircle. Crown of the head comes onto the mat, rest the back of your skull into your semicircle, and activate those shoulders, so really strong here. Tuck the toes, lift the hips. Begin to walk your feet towards your body. Hips are stacked over your shoulders. Stage 3, let's lift one foot up, hold. Bring it down, lift the other. And bring it down, beautiful. And now leading with your dominant leg. So I said that mine's the left, but yours might be the right, no worries. And then you're just gonna practice shifting that weight a bit more now by coming up onto the balls of your toes, little bunny hops, until you feel confident enough. Take a little hop, and then you're gonna hold here, press into the elbows, pressing into the forearms, tucking the core in. Tuck the toes in, beautiful. And then to come out, slowly release one foot and then the other. Walk your toes out, lower the knees, Take your child's pose, extending the arms out in front. Just a couple of short breaths. Sorry, a couple of long breaths even. And then slowly walk your hands back up. Coming into a kneeling position. If you got into your tuck, well done, congratulations. If you're not there yet, just practice shifting your weight. I always find it's easier to do it on your toes by doing those little bunny hops, and the toes don't have to come off the mat. Mine, as you can see, stayed on the mat the entire time, but that does give you the impression of where the weight is going to go until you can then shift up. And as long as you're pressing into those forearms and you're activating those shoulders, you should be able to safely bring those knees and tuck them in and balance on top of your head or on top of your shoulders as well. So once you've practiced that and you're familiar with the tuck, we're going to go into stage 5, which is our full headstand, so extending the legs. So let's take it step by step again. Come down, elbows are shoulder width apart. Interlace the fingers, pinkies out or pinkies in, yogi's choice. Bring the wrists out to make that semicircle. Crown of the head comes onto the mat. Rest the back of your skull into your hands and activate those shoulders. Let's tuck the toes, lift the hips, begin to walk your feet forwards. Feel those hips stack on top of your shoulders. Let's start to bring one foot up, release. Bring the other foot up, release. Okay, dominant leg first. You're gonna do your little bunny hops, bunny toes, and push into your tuck. Very good. Now you're squeezing the core here. You're still pushing into those elbows. And when you're ready, begin to slowly extend the legs up. You're gonna squeeze the glutes together, tucking the navel into the spine. Point the toes. Find that stability. Stay with your breath. Continuing to press into those elbows, so it's really important. And then to come out, slowly begin to bend the knees. You're going to come into that tuck and then lower one foot, then the other. Walk the feet out, lower the knees, and release into your child's pose. So it's really important that when we come out of our headstand, that we are slow and we don't fall out of it. And that's going to help with the control and the stability in your core, your shoulders, and your whole body, really. And that will work well for you as well to get back into your headstand. So we don't want to be injuring ourselves by coming out too quickly and falling onto our necks or heads. So stay with that strength throughout your headstand. Very good. And then when you're ready, slowly come on up and come onto your knees. Great, guys. If you were able to get into the full headstand today, congratulations. If you're beginning to get familiar with your headstand, try a few variations. Maybe try stag legs, maybe try lotus if you can do that. Play with it. Yoga is all about having fun and being able to play. Just like when we were kids, being upside down. It feels good, it's fun. All about getting familiar with your body as well. So if you enjoyed that tutorial, please let me know in the comments below. And if there's anything else you'd like to see from me, I'd love to hear from you guys. Let me know. Otherwise, have a great rest of your day and namaste.
Thank you so much for watching today, friends. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more free guided meditations, yoga flows, and yoga workouts. Thanks again. See you on the mat soon.